Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Have you ever wondered why so many revolutions, born from dreams of freedom, end up in brutal dictatorships? The story of Lenin versus Stalin holds the key. It's not just history. It's a pattern that repeats itself over and over again, and understanding it is crucial to understanding the world we live in. Let's break down this clash of titans. On one side, you have Vladimir Lenin, the architect of the revolution. On the other, Joseph Stalin, the enforcer who took it over. Lenin was an educated intellectual from Russia, born in 1870. Stalin, born 8 years later in Georgia, was a street organizer and outlaw, a man shaped by conspiracy and violence. Lenin's role was to lead the revolution. Stalin's was to take over the state that the revolution created. Lenin's goal was to create socialism. Stalin's was to control it. In terms of personality, Lenin was ideological but surprisingly flexible. He was a master of persuasion, though he wasn't afraid to use force. Stalin was paranoid, ruthless, and his primary tool was fear, managed through a sprawling bureaucracy. This fundamental difference in their characters set the stage for one of history's greatest tragedies. So what did Lenin actually want? At his core, he was a true believer in Marxist theory. He believed capitalism was doomed to collapse, and it was the historic destiny of the working class to seize power. The Communist Party, in his vision, was the vanguard, the dedicated group that would guide society toward this new socialist future. But here's where it gets complicated. Lenin also believed the revolution needed genuine popular support to survive. He encouraged debate within the party, at least in the early days. He believed leaders should be accountable. When he used violence, like the Red Terror, he justified it as a temporary, necessary evil to protect the revolution from its enemies. He wanted to build a revolutionary state, an entirely new form of government. He was not aiming for a personal dictatorship. Now let's turn to Stalin. What did he want? The answer is simple: total control. Stalin believed that power had to be centralized in one person's hands, his. For him, personal loyalty was far more important than any political ideology. He saw enemies everywhere, lurking in every corner. He didn't trust anyone. Not old party comrades, not his top generals, not intellectuals, and in the end, not even his closest friends. The revolution was just a vehicle for his ambition. Stalin didn't want a revolution. He wanted absolute, unquestionable power. So how did Stalin manage to hijack the entire system that Lenin built? This is the most crucial part of the story. Lenin, in his quest to forge a new state, created some very dangerous tools. He established the one-party rule of the Communist Party. He created the secret police, first known as the Cheka. He put the entire economy under state control. He built the engine of a powerful, centralized state. Then, after Lenin's death in 1924, Stalin got his hands on the controls. He took the machinery Lenin had built and systematically repurposed it for his own ends. He removed all the checks and balances. He ruthlessly eliminated his rivals one by one, from Trotsky to Bukharin, until no one was left to challenge him. He replaced ideological debate with paralyzing fear. The party, which Lenin saw as the brain of the revolution, became nothing more than a rubber stamp for Stalin's will. Think of it this way: Lenin built the car. He may have designed it to be a revolutionary vehicle, but it was still a powerful and dangerous machine. Stalin simply kicked Lenin out of the driver's seat, threw the map out the window, and drove it straight off a cliff, taking millions of people with him. Their economic visions were also worlds apart. After the chaos of the Civil War, Lenin realized he needed to stabilize the country. He introduced the new economic policy, or NEP. This was a pragmatic move, a temporary step back from pure communism. It allowed for a mixed economy where small private businesses and farms could operate. Lenin was trying to get the country back on its feet. He wanted stability. Stalin had no time for that. He wanted to industrialize the Soviet Union at breakneck speed, no matter the human cost. He launched the 5-year plans and forced collectivization. This meant destroying private farming, seizing grain from peasants, and forcing them onto massive state-run farms. The result was catastrophic. It led to widespread famine, most horrifically the Holodomor in Ukraine, where millions starved to death. For Stalin, famine and terror were not unfortunate side effects. They were tools to break the will of the people and fund his industrial ambitions. Lenin wanted stability. Stalin wanted speed, and he was willing to pay for it with human lives. So how do we remember them today? Their legacies couldn't be more different. Lenin is remembered, for better or worse, as a revolutionary thinker. He's a complex and controversial figure, the man who envisioned a new world, but whose methods paved the way for tyranny. He is often seen as a flawed idealist. Stalin, on the other hand, is remembered with almost universal condemnation. He is the totalitarian ruler, the paranoid tyrant, one of history's deadliest dictators, responsible for the deaths of tens of millions of his own people through purges, forced labor in the gulags, and engineered famines. And yet, here is the chilling irony. Stalin ruled for nearly 30 years, far longer than Lenin. It was Stalin's brutal version of communism, not Lenin's, that shaped the Soviet Union and defined the Cold War. It was his shadow that loomed over half the world for half a century. This brings us to the final, sobering truth. Lenin tried to change the system. Stalin tried to own it. Lenin, in his own way, believed in a future he was building. Stalin believed only in power. And that is the terrifying lesson. Revolutions create a power vacuum. They unleash chaos and build new, powerful instruments of state control. And in that chaos, it is often not the idealist, the architect, who wins. It's the ruthless, paranoid enforcer who is willing to do anything to seize control. The person who sees the revolution not as a means to a better world, but as a ladder to absolute power. This is the story of Lenin and Stalin, and it is a warning for why so. Many dreams of revolution end in the nightmare of tyranny. Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown insightful, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. Drop your comments below so you don't miss our next video. See you next time.